Hi, everybody. So I'm the one keeping you from your lunch, so I'll just make this as fun as possible. And if you feel like it, you can stand up and stretch by just taking your thumbs and turning them this way. It's another way to open up your heart chakra. It's all good. Ooh, excellent. I'm gonna quicken my neck. So my name is Jen Looper, and I'm here to talk to you today about human versus AI. And we're gonna build a mobile app with Vue.js, MLKit, and NativeScript. So very curious to know how many mobile developers I've got in this crowd. That guy right there. And the rest of you will say you are mobile curious. Okay, you're mobile curious. How about Vue.js? Where's my Vue leavers? I wear my Vue shirt. In the elevator, I was identified as Mrs. Vue, which is kind of funny because my husband is Ching Hu, so I could be Jenny Vue Hu. And I could live in Whoville. Yeah, it works very well. And then MLKit is a really cool Google product that we're going to talk about. And NativeScript is the product that I am a developer advocate for. So like I said, my name is Jen Looper. I'm a senior developer advocate at Progress in Boston, and where we've got 4 inches of snow on the ground. So I'm like, yes, Greece, let's just stay here. I'm also the founder and CEO of Vue Vixens. So a little announcement, if there's any women who want to come join us for lunch after this session, we're going to form a little table and just have a little nice chat. Women in Tech lunch. It should be a lot of fun with me and Stephanie, and I don't know anybody else who's coming, so it'll be really fun. Yeah, cool. Bex. Okay, so I am also known in my department as a friend of bots. So I do things like make Slack bots to harass my manager. This is a very fun thing to do. So if my manager was chronically late to every team meeting, so I created a Slack bot that would, 5 minutes after the hour ping him and say, hey, Burke, are you dead or something? So these kind of like little harassment tools that are very fun with chatbots. Lots of fun things to do in this field. I find that I learn best when I'm having fun, so I hope that we'll have fun today together and learn. So what's on the agenda? On the agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about what is machine learning. What is this thing that everyone's talking about? Why is machine learning so important? How can machine learning help make more interesting mobile apps? Cool space to be in right now. And most specifically, how can I build an app using these 2 new technologies, MLKit and NativeScript Vue? So NativeScript with Vue, NativeScript Vue. Good stuff. So what even is machine learning? Oh, they're so cute. So that's actually not machine learning, although they look very intelligent. So machine learning, as we know, is very easy to get your head around, right? Actually, it's not very easy to get your head around. This is a slide from the Coursera course by Andrew Ng. Andrew Ng is the former data science lead at Baidu, and he went to Stanford and founded Coursera basically with this course. And it's kind of a hilarious course. He sits there in whiteboards and writes math all over this, and it's pretty exciting to experience. But I do recommend it. It's free. I just parked myself in front of my computer for a couple months and just bashed my way through this course. There's a new iteration of this course from Coursera. It's called Deep Learn AI, I believe. And it's a bunch of his courses that have been refactored and rebuilt all together in a suite. So if you have really a lot of time, I recommend trying his Deep Learn course. So Andrew Ng is the guy if you want to learn machine learning. Well, what is this thing? Well, how do you define machine learning? I love the medics come in right when I say that. So machine learning is sometimes defined as a way to give computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. This is a very simple kind of explanation. A better explanation is that a computer program is said to learn from experience E with respect to some class of tasks T and performance measure P if its performance at tasks T as measured by P improves with experience E. Simple, right? So this is Tom Mitchell writing in 1997, kind of the classic explanation of what machine learning is. The key word to take out of this mumbo jumbo is improve. You're looking for the improvement of the algorithm in its identification of the thing that you're trying to teach it. So for me, this makes me kind of crawl up into the corner and sort of want to die. So what I have done for you is I have created the emoji guide to machine learning. And I take a cue from my colleague Tara, who writes GIF guides for all of our technical stuff in the department. So I've written for you an emoji guide, and I hope you like it. So how to make a machine learn? There are a couple different ways. The most basic and kind of standard way is supervised learning. So how many data scientists do I have in here, actually? Okay, great. So I think we're all kind of learning this field and kind of getting our arms around this as a developer. We're all trying to kind of make this make sense to ourselves. So this is how I did it. So for supervised learning, you gather a lot of data. And you divide that data into your training set and your test set. So here I've taken my training set and I've given it labels. I'm saying that these are fruits and these are vegetables. And then my test set, I do not give any categories to at all. So I send that off to my machine learning algorithm. The algorithm comes back with some educated guesses. So it's making educated guesses. It's using the training set to verify the guesses that it's using making the test set. So it says, okay, this thing, what is this thing? Maybe it's an apple. And then the training set will allow it to verify that this is the right thing. Supervised learning, the most standard way. It's all done with labels. And it's a great way to kind of get your feet wet in machine learning. Another way is unsupervised learning. A little bit more interesting, a little bit more complicated. So here you're gathering a lot of data. My favorite way to gather data, go to the buffet. And you basically do not categorize that data. And you send this to a more complicated self-teaching pattern recognizing algorithm. So the algorithm is more sophisticated here. And it's making what I would call uneducated guesses as opposed to educated guesses. So supervised learning would be making educated guesses. Unsupervised learning would be making uneducated guesses, getting an accuracy rating, and trying again and again, and hopefully improving. And then there is reinforcement learning. Again, gather a lot of data. So reinforcement learning is kind of weirding out the guys at MIT. So fun fact, my husband is a professor in the EECS department at MIT. He's on the EE side, so he looks at all the CS people and says, good Lord, what are you old guys doing? So, but the CS department has a lot to, is thinking very deeply about reinforcement learning and figuring out where we stand on this kind of modality of doing machine learning. Because reinforcement learning is so sophisticated that we're sort of losing track of what's going on. And it's quite interesting to see, where our intelligence stops and where the artificial intelligence really kicks in. I think that if MIT is worried, I think we might consider being worried as well. So anyway, so with reinforcement learning, what you're doing is you're gathering a lot of data, and you're not giving it any categories, as we did prior. And then you have this curious self-teaching pattern recognizing algorithm, and you give it harder and harder problems, and you reward its curiosity, its innovation. So you're encouraging your algorithm to innovate. And this is really entering the field of cognitive psychology and even child learning. So I always think that moms should be really good at this stuff, at kind of rewarding the algorithm for its curiosity, like a child. Again, with the uneducated guesses, you're going to keep looping and iterating until you get a solid algorithm. So that's pretty cool. And we like to throw around these terms: machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, algorithms, AI, and it just becomes a big mishmash. So I try to, sort of talk about those three ways of doing machine learning and then bring up this slide, which is about deep learning. Deep learning is a subfield of machine learning, and it uses machine learning algorithms in layers. And Asim gave a really good example of the creation of neural network and the training of neural networks. Using machine learning algorithms in layers to create an artificial neural network to make independent decisions. That's deep learning. It's all a subset of machine learning. So I think the first thing we do as developers when we start looking at machine learning is try to get the terminology straight. And if this will help you, then that makes me happy. So let me know. I'm interested in your feedback. This is kind of how I help myself remember. So there are some awesome tools out there that we as developers can use right now for machine learning. You can do it locally on your computer using TensorFlow. How many TensorFlowers? You're called TensorFlowers. TensorFlowers here? Some good TensorFlowers here, yes. I like TensorFlow, especially in winter, because I run it on my old MacBook Pro, and it gets so toasty. I sit with on my lap and get all warm because my computer starts heating up like crazy. So it's Google's library for machine learning. It is free and open source. It's a very, very cool thing to give it a try. A great way to try TensorFlow is to go to this code lab. I made you a bit.ly. TensorFlow for Poets, it's called. Perfect for me. I'm the French major. I'm sitting here trying to learn this stuff, and this is a really great way to learn. So do their code lab. They have code labs for everything, but I really like this particular TensorFlow code lab. I hope they make more of them. it's called TensorFlow for Poets, and you gather about a bunch of flower data, and you train an algorithm to identify the flowers according to like the leaf type, the petal type, and the inside part. So it'll come back with some labels and say whether it's a daisy or a rose. I like it a lot. It's really cool. And then, as Asim was talking about yesterday, there's TensorFlow.js, which is a port of TensorFlow for us JavaScripters. This is very exciting. In fact, we've ported TensorFlow.js for NativeScript, which I'll talk about in a minute. So it's really, really interesting as a project. You can go to js.tensorflow.org and use this JavaScript library for training and deploying machine learning models in the browser and using Node. They have a really fun demo called the emoji scavenger hunt. It's done in Chrome on your phone, and you're using the camera to kind of run around and point you're told by the game, go find a chair, and so you have to run around and point your phone at the chair, and it'll identify it very quickly and give you a point. And it's actually pretty stressful because you're running around like crazy. But very cool way of using TensorFlow.js. There are lots and lots of demos on this link, so I encourage you to check it out. So for now, just bookmark TensorFlow. Just remember it. We're going to come back to it in a minute. Let's talk about machine learning in the wild. Wild and crazy machine learning. I think it's really useful for us to consider where we're discovering machine learning in the wild, in what products that are being pushed at us, and what kind of devices that we're using that are being informed by sophisticated algorithms and machine learning. My personal favorite is Stitch Fix. Stitch Fix is a box service in the US. I don't think they're in Europe yet, but it's a lovely startup, woman-owned startup in New York City, and it has a real nice combination of machine learning and human curation. So the way it works is that you as a user go onto stitchfix.com, download their mobile app, and you basically do Tinder for clothes. So you say, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I don't like this. So you indicate your style preferences, and then that Stitch Fix basically runs your input through a pretty decent algorithm. And it builds a recommendation engine, which is the standard use of supervised learning. So it's building recommendations, it factors in your location. In Boston, I don't want to look like I just stepped off the plane in Florida. It's too cold. So it kind of scrapes the web for trends in your locality, and it looks at the season, and then it will connect you to a stylist who's also supposedly local. My stylist is named Rebecca. I'm pretty sure she's a human. She's quite nice, and she writes me notes, so this is good. And she curates and ships me a box of clothes every month, and I give her feedback by either buying or returning the items, so it's kind of a closed feedback loop. And it works very nicely because there is that human element and also the fact that I opted into the service. Actually, I just opted out because it got really expensive, but here we are. It's a nice pattern. The bottom line is you get to walk down the street looking absolutely fabulous, and you don't have to deal with weird stuff like this. So this is a scary use of machine learning that I always like to talk about. This image circulated on Twitter actually a while ago because this has been happening for a while now. It's basically what's happening in a lot of cities is that there are a lot of surveillance cameras being installed, especially in Asia, although I found out that the most surveilled city is actually London. Quite interesting. But if you have that many surveillance cameras at every traffic corner, you can start getting really good at facial recognition algorithms. In China, it's absolutely astounding what they can do to identify folks. And since every citizen is in a database, they can instantly match you to your database ID and track you, which is awesome because then they can monitor group emotions. And since everyone's using one app, WeChat, they can kind of push content at you as a group and invisibly track your location. It's not like Uber and Facebook don't already do this, so I'm not calling out China specifically. But for me, this is a big fat nope, because I really don't care for the idea of mass surveillance. I'm sure a lot of us feel the same, especially in Europe. In Europe, I find that people are even more concerned with privacy and security than in the US. We've kind of given up to a certain extent. But it's really interesting to see the various locations and what people think of this idea. Personally, for me, it's a no. But there are some interesting examples of good and bad uses of machine learning and algorithms. In New York and Miami, they're using machine learning for crime forecasting. That's interesting. Well, certain people look like criminals, right? So let's just watch them. I'm not thrilled with this idea, right? North Shore University Health System uses machine learning to predict cardiac arrest using electronic medical records, which sounds like a great idea until you realize that that impacts your insurance. You know, it's very hard to switch your job and get new insurance. In the US, our insurance is in shambles anyway. We don't need this. So, Tulsa school system uses machine learning for early intervention to prevent students from dropping out of school or graduating late. It could be good. It could also push people into certain tracks that they might have on their own been able to grow out of. So I feel like, you know, this is one of those things, all of this is, you know, we need to just weigh in our minds how the things that we're building will impact people down the road. So this is really the ethics of machine learning. Folks at Microsoft are talking a lot about this. Take a look at Christian Heilmann and his keynotes on the ethics of machine learning. It's really interesting stuff. And at some point in your career, some dude in a suit may come and ask you to build something. And you will have the knowledge and the power to say, let's just think it through. So that's my motif for today. Just stop and think. So like I like to say, with great power comes great responsibility, right? We have the access to all of these amazing things. Let's make sure to use them wisely, okay? So why don't we just move along right now to talk about, once you have done all your ethical cleansing of your project, you can take a look at starting your awesome mobile project, because machine learning with mobile apps is awesome. There's a lot of great stuff out there already built, and it works really beautifully because mobile devices are mini collectors of data, right? They have cameras. You know, you can do voice to text. They're packed with sensors. They're tracking your steps. Lots and lots of great data flowing into your mobile app, and then into your mobile device, and then these apps which are able to access that data and use it to create really interesting user experiences for everyone. So we, as mobile app developers, have this awesome new arsenal. You can make your apps smarter by just adding, by either adding little touches of machine learning into your app, or by building a whole app around machine learning. A great example is Seeing AI. It's an app built by Microsoft. I really like to use it just to demo. If you lay out dollar bills and 50s, 5s, 10s, 100s, the app will scan them so that it will tell the denominations of the money. You know, simple ideas like that image recognition algorithms can really help with if you're someone who's blind. This app is worth a download, Seeing AI, lots and lots of good stuff in that app. And there's also, of course, an app like Shazam. Does anyone use Shazam anymore? Oh, good, okay. I think Shazam is hilarious. So there's a lot of great apps built all around music, you know. Another example is Spotify. But this I just threw in recently because these makeup apps, have you taken a look at May2 or Makeup Plus? Or any? Probably you guys are like, no. But for the rest of us, we have a lot of fun with this. So this is my colleague TJ, and he was doing a talk on AR. And I was like, you've got to try the makeup apps. They're amazing. So in Korea and China, they have these apps that will make you look incredible. I actually think he looked amazing by the time we like tweaked it and added all the values. This is me. I was just lying on my porch taking, no makeup and then makeup apps. So it's, but again, this is a situation where people in Asia at this point do not post a selfie without retouching, because it's a look that's being so accepted now. So it's kind of weird to think about, like, I don't know. Some of the stuff will weird you out if you go deep in it. It's fun though. Although watch out with May2, you give up a lot of privacy. So, good stuff. Anyway, so you can also just make your app smarter or more helpful by adding little machine learning touches, little API calls. My favorite is actually Facebook Marketplace. It's the only reason I still use Facebook. In Facebook Marketplace, they have a really cool little line item right there. When you take a picture of the thing you want to sell, it just searches through the images in its databases and locally and figures out how much people have sold them for and gives you a quote of how much they think that you can sell something for. Super helpful, because I never know how much to charge. I've been taken for a ride many times on eBay because I have no idea. So I really like this kind of very helpful touch. And then, of course, there is the recommendation engine in Spotify, which is kind of watching what you're listening to, figuring out how long you're listening to something, because they're figured that's as much as you like it, and then creating interesting playlists for you that you could discover new music. So really well-executed mobile app that uses just little bits of machine learning in it. Okay, back to reality. We can go on and on about cool things that you can do with mobile apps in this space, but One thing I want to emphasize is that do-it-yourself machine learning is hard. Remember I talked about how using TensorFlow on your computer will heat it up to a certain extent. At some point this thing's going to blow up. You need a lot of firepower, you need a lot of skills, and you need a lot of data. The more quality data you have, the better your algorithm is going to behave. So this just takes a ton of time. I would love to do a cool mobile app with music clips, but I have not had time to gather all the music clips, all the MIDIs, and cleanse the data and categorize it. It's just so much work. So you need a ton of firepower, you need a lot of skills. So you might consider trying a third-party service. My favorite used to be Clarify. So I was really excited about Clarify, another New York City startup that has heroically not been acquired by anybody big. They have the best image recognition in the industry. However, they've just gotten in bed with the US Defense Department, and they're building an algorithm to figure out how to make drones more effectively kill certain groups of people. I think this is a big, hard stop. So no mas with Clarify. In fact, some employees have left. People are also at Google are protesting some of the use of this data and the way these algorithms are being used and abused. It's something to watch for, and I'm kind of sad about Clarify. I was like unofficial DevRel for Clarify. I talk about them so much. Anyway, you can use APIs from Clarify. You can use Google Cloud Platform APIs. And then most exciting at the moment for me is this use of MLKit, which is a Google product that was released at I/O, Google I/O last spring. It's still in beta, but let's play anyway. It's good fun. So if we use MLKit and we want to build a mobile app, what are some of the tools we could use? What would be the tech stack that I would personally recommend? So what I do is I like Vue.js, and I like building mobile apps with NativeScript. So awesomely, we have a new library called NativeScript Vue, and it was built amazingly by a college student in Budapest. And he is amazing. His name is Igor. And I like this picture because it always makes me think that he's wondering if he left the oven on. So thank you, Igor. He's amazing. He built NativeScript Vue for us, and I really appreciate him a lot. So let's talk about NativeScript. Wondering if people have heard about NativeScript? Ooh, very nice. OK, great. Well, coffee for you. NativeScript is an open source framework for building truly native mobile apps with JavaScript. And we use our web skills like TypeScript, Angular, Vue.js, CSS, and you can get native UI and performance on iOS and Android. It's kind of the idea, write it once and run it on iOS and Android. It works very nicely for building mobile apps with or without a framework. And the result is kind of a rich, animated, no-compromise native UI. The whole concept behind this is leveraging the JavaScript runtimes to get great performance. And you can share a certain amount of your code, especially with the Angular and Vue story, with your website. So if you have a website and you want to build a mobile app, you can use a certain amount of that, reuse a certain amount of that code. So that's really good. This is actually an app you can download in the app stores. It's called Examples NativeScript, and you can get a feel for how the charting works. It's pretty nice. So I work a lot of booths, and I get a lot of pushback on the word NativeScript because people think that I'm obliging you to learn a new language. It's just JavaScript, so don't worry. it's nothing too dramatic. So you're going to use your standard JavaScript. You're going to use Angular if you like it, CSS3, NPM packages. All of our plugins are NPM packages, so you just bring those right down. If you like Sass, you can use that or not. You're going to need Webpack for sure with Angular and Vue.js. If you like TypeScript, you can use that. That's very fun. And then we have this new port for Vue. For me, I like to use Vue with NativeScript for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're allowed to because Vue, when it hit 2.0, it adopted the virtual DOM and enabled native mobile rendering, kind of like Angular 2 did as well. So it kind of opened up the floodgates for all the mobile developers. Vue offers this awesome way for web developers to embrace mobile platforms via NativeScript or Weeks. Weeks is a product, I think it was built in Alibaba in China, and they open source their stuff, and that helped us a lot to kind of get an idea of how we should open source our stuff. So we're kind of building on the shoulders of giants with Alibaba. Much appreciation. And I like Vue in particular because it's lightweight. It's very small. I think it's really appropriate for mobile. Vue 3 is coming down the pike, and it's going to be even smaller, even faster, and even lighter. And it's going to, the guy who runs Vue is breaking up the packages so that we can kind of pick and choose. It's going to be really fast, I think. And then, like I said, NativeScript and Vue have this awesome code sharing potential. Great. So if you want to go ahead right now today and build a NativeScript Vue app, you would go to the playground, and it looks like this, a NativeScript playground. So I'm broadcasting my mobile phone. And if you go to play.nativescript.org, you can start building an app in Vue. So there's actually a couple ways you can do it. You can create new, and you can do Angular, JavaScript, TypeScript, or Vue. And this is all free. And you're going to download a couple of mobile apps, kind of like with React Native, they have Expo. With us, we have the Playground and a Viewer app. So all you do in this situation is flash a QR code to your device. So where's Playground? You're going to get a sneak peek of something I'm working on, maybe. OK. So I'm going to scan the QR code. There we are. Oh, don't look. This is a secret project I'm developing. Anyway, this is what you see on the screen. So if I was to go and start making changes here, so instead of home, I will say, hello, Greece, and save it. And then my app should refresh if it's behaving itself, which sometimes it does. Come on. Save. You can click preview to force it. There it is. Gotta boost it a little bit. So if I, add a little bit more and save, you can see how we start refreshing and refreshing, and it's a nice, fast development experience. So just to take a look at the playground, it's kind of a try it before you buy it. Just do your development in the browser. So a very, very cool way to try all these new things. So how would we go about making a machine learning-powered mobile app using NativeScript, Vue, and MLKit? Let's take a look. So using this technique makes do-it-yourself machine learning a little bit easier because you're using machine learning on device with a plugin. And you might want to use this if you don't want to make a bunch of REST API calls like to Clarify or to Google Cloud Platform. If you need offline capability, MLKit will get you there, whereas you can't do that with making REST API calls. You have to be online for that. If you want to train something custom, you can do it on TensorFlow, using TensorFlow on your local, freeze the model, compress it, and use it in MLKit. So if you get enough data and want to do something custom, you can do that using MLKit. I really like it. MLKit leverages TensorFlow Lite, which was originally called TensorFlow Mobile, and then they decided to port it for Raspberry Pi and rename it for TensorFlow Lite. But it was designed out of the box to be used on low-end Androids, and it has some built-in capabilities, including image manipulation, boxing, identifying images. And MLKit is the new hotness. And it offers out of the box, for free, yay, it's image labeling, text recognition, face detection, not big fan of face detection, barcode scanning, landmark detection, and you can really go far with its models, which it comes with some pre-trained models, or you can do something custom like I mentioned. So how does it work? So the plugin that you're using to grab a hold of MLKit is actually the Firebase plugin that one of our colleagues developed. That's kind of interesting. So it's expecting that you're using Firebase, because basically all of your data is flowing into your app in Firebase, and then MLKit can grab a hold of it. It's kind of an interesting way that Google is kind of taking a look at our data, but it's all bundled in Firebase. And it bundles together Google's ML technologies, including Google Cloud Vision API, TensorFlow Lite, and the Android Neural Networks API, all in a single SDK, and it works on device. So you can use this thing offline, which is incredible. This is really, really cool to watch. So I wanted to put MLKit to the test with an app built in NativeScript Vue. So I built a blockbuster game. I'm going to make a million. It's called Pick Me. It's a game that tests MLKit's accuracy and speed against a human. So let's see if the bot will pick up the image faster than the human. Spoiler alert, usually the human beats the bot, but we're working on that. So the ultimate challenge of this kind of image recognition are these tricky images that I found built by Karen Zach on Instagram. I don't know if you've seen these. They're hilarious. So Teeny Biscuit on Instagram has built these image galleries. The first one was Labradoodle or fried chicken. Another one is parrot or guacamole. So they're these tricky images that will fool the eye. There's a lot of them, and I have them all. So very, very fun. So how did I build this thing? I used a Vue CLI template. I used 3 plugins and Vuex. Vuex is the state management library, sort of like Redux. So the first thing you do to build a NativeScript Vue app, if you're using the CLI, is you're going to initialize your app using this template. It gives you a couple of built-ins that you can go ahead and add. And then you're off to the races. You can use the CLI and start developing in the emulator or on device. The plugins I used are NativeScript Swipe Layout, the card view, and the plugin for Firebase, which I mentioned earlier. So all you have to do to get Firebase working in your app is do a little bit of setup on Firebase itself, and then import the Firebase plugin, and then you initialize it. So it's pretty straightforward. I built the UI in the Vue.js template block. So Vue.js has a standard pattern where it has single file components, which always have a template block for your UI markup, a script block for the business logic, and a styles block if you want to have any styles that are associated to that component. Very straightforward. The trick that trips up Vue developers is that the markup that we use in NativeScript is a little different. So we have to build mobile layouts, so we have to use things like a swipe layout, a grid layout, a card view. There's a lot of custom stuff going on here, and that's because we're working, in the mobile area. So once we have the UI built, you have to use the Firebase plugin for MLKit, and you query MLKit, and you send it these images, a parrot or a guacamole or a sheepdog or a mop. And then you ask MLKit to identify these images and send back labels with a certain amount of certainty, the confidence threshold of 0.6. And then I calculate the bot score by testing it against some hard-coded values. So these are basically the right answers. This is the cheat sheet that the mobile app has. So it's identifying the image and having certain accepted answers. And then I use a Vuex in the back to keep score. So I keep score of what the bot is choosing and what the humans are choosing. And this is the result. So you start the game. I've changed the interface a little bit, and you'll see that in a second. But basically, this is a tough one. This is chocolate versus Dalmatian. And MLKit is coming back as fast as it can with its answers. And the human being is swiping to choose between Dalmatian or chocolate. So that's actually, oops, that's chocolate, chocolate, Dalmatian, Dalmatian. Oh, and then I get a score. So my question to you is, can you beat the AI? So let's see. I would love to have a volunteer. And I will show you what you can play. Let's see, where's Pick Me? So it is. OK. So we have puppy versus bagel. And then in the side drawer, we have barn owl or apple, chihuahua or muffin, chocolate or Dalmatian, croissant or dog, kitten or caramel, labradoodle or fried chicken, parrot or guacamole, puppy or bagel, sheepdog or mop, Shiba or marshmallow, fruit or kiwi, sloth or bread. And then there's another one that we're not going to talk about. So, if anyone would love to, if anyone would love to try any of these, you can certainly come up, and I have a prize. I have a coupon for a free course. Come on, guys. In Bulgaria, people were beating down the doors. Come on up. OK. So which one would you like to try? OK, so click that one. So you can start the game. And so you just swipe for the croissant, and then the dog. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who won? It was a tie. Yes. I wasn't watching. OK, excellent. Oh, this is a tricky one. And the cats. It's a little Greek cat. Oh, I think you did. It's a tie again. I think there's a little bug in the. I think it's a bug. Yeah. Would you like me to do Trump versus chicken? Sure. I actually did this in the south of the U.S. and it was hilarious. Do you want to try? It's very difficult, very tough. Whoop. Oh no! The bot is coming up. So that one you won. Good job. Yay! Awesome. Here is a coupon for you. Thank you. Thank you. So, you can build awesome demos with this sort of thing. Oh, that's really triggering. I can't even. Hold on. Let's find something else to look at. Yeah, that's better. So we always like to do fun and cool demos when we're talking about this, and this is absolutely impeccable because I have 5 minutes. So if you're interested in learning more about this sort of thing, if you want to come play the game, it's available for you. Check out nativescriptvue.org. Follow me on Twitter at @JenLooper, and I'm so happy that I was here in Greece and that we discerned whether, raw chicken or who is more, never mind. So code of conduct in shambles. So thank you very much, and I'm happy to take questions. Cowbell.
Any questions?
No questions.
No questions?
They are
Yeah,
hungry.
we got a question.
Oh.
Hi. I missed the part how you trained the model first and then you used that locally. Is this what you did?
So MLKit comes with these pre-trained models, and you can see that, like with the Trump one, it just says skin, like it doesn't know what it's looking at. With the Dalmatian, somehow it had been trained on Dalmatians, which is kind of interesting. So with MLKit, out of the box, you have no control over what the model is. But since it's built with TensorFlow, you could train your own images, and then you have to compress the model and freeze it, and then you import it. So it has the built-in way for you to use your own stuff if you want to. But this is not. You can see this is a pretty generic model. Oh yeah, no. There's no training involved here. It's just like sending an image straight to MLKit, and it comes back with the labels. Yeah. So it was trained on some generic images of cats and things like that. Yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah, good fun.
So thank you very much. It was very interesting. So I didn't understand really what NativeScript in that regard is. Is it just an extension to the markup or JavaScript?
It's it's really a product at this point, but it's a lot like React Native, except with React Native, you're going to be using React. With NativeScript, we use, it's basically almost the same thing, except we use Vue, Angular, or no framework at all. With NativeScript, we're leveraging the JavaScript runtimes to create native modules. And then with React Native, I believe they use a bridging technique, so it's like trying to do the same thing with slightly different techniques. But yeah, you can just think of it as another sort of React Native-ish type of thing. Yeah. Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.